We're live, Hedley.
We're live. We're live. So this is we've started way too excited, really, haven't we? Welcome to Wessex Ways, episode 6. I think we're up to now.
How exciting is that?
When do we become podcasters? Someone said, I think it was if you get beyond, is it 11 episodes, you're a podcaster or something?
Is it like if
because
you
most people give up? I think 90% of podcasts give up before then. So we're on our way, and I'm still feeling quite,
maybe if we're
energised about it.
We're nearly halfway there then. So we're podcut. We're nearly.
We've done the pod bit. Yeah.
All right, let's measure that. So we've got to get past 11. Welcome to Wessex Ways, everybody. Me and Hedley will shut up in a minute. We won't shut up. We'll talk sensible.
No, we won't shut up. We're going to be waffling for a while, aren't we? Let's face it.
My name is Paul Whitewick.
And my name is Ribbit. No, I can't do that again.
Yeah.
People who watch your YouTube videos will understand. My name is Hedley. And who are you, Paul?
Right, I make videos and put them on YouTube. Sometimes people like them, sometimes they don't. But hey ho, I enjoy myself, so that's all that matters, isn't it? Who are you, Hedley?
I'm just a fan of yours, Paul. YouTube junkie, I am. But that aside, I am an aerial historic landscape photographer, and nearly a podcaster as well. And that's what I do. I take pictures from drones of places mostly around Wessex, the former kingdom, and I post them on Instagram, Twitter, and just occasionally I sell a few as well. It's good fun.
Smashing.
Good fun. Yeah.
Right, we've got quite. I think we said we haven't got a lot to get through, Hedley, but I think we've got a lot to get through. I've got a big list. You've told me what you're going to chat about today already, which is quite exciting. So, have we got any news? Have we got anything going on that we should discuss first of all?
I'm very, very badly prepared because I've not long been in from a 15-mile walk today, and I can tell you what I've been up to.
Well, badly prepared is my job, Hedley, frankly. So you can't have that. You can't have that role. I'm afraid I've already nabbed the badly prepared one.
Yeah. Yes.
You just mentioned before we go live. You just mentioned stats. We're quite chuffed because for episode 5. Our YouTube stats went up for the first time, which we're really chuffed about. I think we got about 400, 500 views, something like that. And I think we're getting a similar amount-ish on the actual podcast when you tally together all of them, Apple Music and Spotify and all the other ones it tends to go out on.
It's good. It's like broadcasting to, 1,000 people. So what's that? St. Paul's Cathedral? No, maybe not. A bit smaller than that. But it's like having a good audience of people that we really appreciate and everything. So,
that's the main thing. Do you know what I always say this to my patrons on my YouTube? I always say I love the community aspect. So if we could do that here as well, a community of Wessex loving people, then that's our goal, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, people that love the countryside, people that love history, people that like industrial stuff and disused canals and railways, kind of more your domain, which is great stuff. And mine is more sort of long distance paths and pictures of hill forts and stuff like that. And I'm going to plug my Patreon as well.
Oh, yeah, have you got? I didn't know you had one. Have you just set this up?
I've just started it, I've been thinking what to put on it, and so I think that. I did a behind the scenes video of a recent photo shoot, so that's probably boring. So that's not a reason for you to join me on Patreon, really, unless you're really bored. I might do full resolution downloads of my images because people pay for those. So they say to me, can I have a full resolution version of this to use for X, Y, Z? And I say, fine. That's going to cost a few quid, nothing much, But I think that if some of the best ones, I can put them on Patreon so people can download them at any time and use them as wallpaper. So I might do that and other bits and pieces. At the moment, no one's joined, but then I don't think I've really advertised it. So.
I was good. I didn't even know that you had one, Hedley. So that's fair comment. The funniest thing about Patreon, when you do get the people along who are clearly your biggest fans. A lot of them will always say, "Oh, I don't want anything in return. I just like being able to chip in," and just a couple of quid a month or £5 a month or whatever they want to put in. And that's what we on ours hugely appreciate that people just say, no. If you haven't done an extra video, you haven't done this, that's fine. I don't care. I just love being able to contribute to what you make. And I think, yeah, maybe that will be yours in time as well. I'm sure.
I mean, I did a thing. I used that Buy Me a Coffee website a little while back, but I don't feel that's giving anything back to people. You know, they give you donate like £2 or £3, and which is nice because it gets you a coffee, but you haven't really given anything back to them for that. So I was thinking with Patreon, maybe I can use it because it seems quite open format. You can upload anything to it, and you can, have different levels of patronity or patronising. I don't know how you say it. Different levels, anyway. But yeah, it looks good. It looks like a kind of a blank sheet, and I can really put stuff on there for people. So,
all right, people. So listen, the call to action already in this podcast / YouTube is go and check out. Well, I suspect by this point of release, if you type in to the Google, if you type in Hedley Thorne and Patreon, you'll probably come up with Hedley's Patreon. Or if you go into the new search engine, Hedley, which is ChatGPT, which is mad. Have you used it? It's mad, isn't
I've used it. I'm not going to tell you what I used it for, because it does a lot of work for you. Possibly. But I think it's brilliant. It's crazy. You can talk to it like, I mean, if someone's listening to this in 10 years' time, this sounds stupid. This will sound like someone who's used Google for the first time.
Yeah.
I love the fact you can just explain a situation or something that you require, and then it just comes back to you like a human that's done a load of research.
And you can say, look, I think you've got that bit wrong, or can you do that again with a bit more emphasis on this? And it's scary, isn't it? It's properly scary.
And it can write code.
Yeah.
So at work at the airport, we could probably, say, look, we want a mobile app that can show certain flights from certain airlines or terminals, blah blah blah. You can do that. I mean, we've got that anyway, but you could ask it to do that, and it will write the code for it.
So you might be out of a job soon, Hedley. Is that what you're saying? I might be out of a job soon, because I said I did the other day, write a script for a Paul Whitewick video on whatever, and it writes a script for you.
I mean, you're safe. You're safe. Don't worry. It's ChatGPT hasn't got your enthusiasm and your ability to jump in a ditch.
This is true. This is the one downfall about art or creativity, or something. Yeah, obviously you can't replicate that.
No, you can't. But it is amazing. I've got a shortcut to it up here, and I'm pretty sure once this is out on people's phones and everything. But there are things that I do worry about it. I mean, everyone's worried about AI in the future and all that rubbish. But my thing, and I don't think it will take too many people's jobs. I think it's going to create opportunities in different areas. But my problem is I'm worried that people are going to rely on it. So you could get it, for example, and I hope my son's not listening to this, but if you're a university student, you can literally get it to write essays for you and stuff like that. You could say in 5,000 words, can you describe how the Battle of Ashdown unfolded or something? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And it will do it. It will do it.
Yeah.
And you throw in a few deliberate grammatical errors, and you've got yourself an essay.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think at the moment there's still a lot to be done on it, because I asked it a question about a video I was doing the other day. We were doing the one that just came out this Sunday, the 7 locks on the Wilts and Berks, and I said, was the Tockenham Reservoir built to feed the canal at the Wilts and Berks Canal? And it came up with this wonderful answer. Yes, it was. It was built in 1810, the same time. It covered all this good stuff. And then it said it was fed by the River Marden. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. I know it wasn't. It's close, but it's not.
Yeah.
So then I asked it another question. I said, can you clarify what it was fed by? What river or brook it was fed by? And then it said, it was fed by another brook. And I thought, no, it's not. So I said to it, I think you're mistaken. I think it may have been the Tilly Brook. And it says, yes, thank you for correcting me. It was indeed the Tilly Brook. And I'm like,
okay.
So basically you don't know. So I don't know how.
That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is weird. I don't know how, if let's say you said, well, write an essay for me on whatever. Yeah. Is it true? Is it correct? Or is it filling in gaps it thinks? I don't know. But yeah.
I've seen a YouTube video of someone who they've got this human character kind of replication. It's a computer that's animating someone that looks really lifelike.
Yeah.
And it lip syncs to text. So they basically they've got basically it's narrating what Chat GPT comes back with.
Oh,
Or to
I
put it
see.
another way, you're having a conversation with someone who looks human, sounds human, and talks human. And
Oh, wow.
it's a little bit kind of not
This is
worrying, but there's something in you, a nerve in you that goes, "Right, that doesn't sound. That's a bit,
Yeah, I mean,
that
God,
person doesn't exist."
this is a movie waiting to happen, isn't it? Or a movie that's probably already
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as impressive as the Boston Dynamics stuff with robots, doing backflips and,
Yeah.
flipping pancakes and all that sort of stuff. But, well, it's Shrove Tuesday.
Speaking of which, yeah, Shrove, as we record this, it's Shrove
as
Tuesday.
we're recording it, it's Shrove Tuesday. Don't set your calendars by what we say because this won't be out for a while. But yes, yeah. No, it's fascinating, and it does have serious applications. Where I don't know at work if we're using that in any respect yet. I'm sure there may be someone who works at Heathrow on here that knows whether or not we've got that kind of stream of AI in use. But it's fascinating, and it's definitely the next big step. Once you get this on phones and everything, this is going to be a bit of a change, and I think it's going to take a few people a bit of time to adjust to it.
Yeah.
A lot of elderly people would just about grasp the concept of Google, which of course is 20 something years old. So Chat GPT, it's a very, very big step from Google.
Well, I've typed in what's the best. I need a type again. The whole conversation thing with it. I've talked a bit about YouTube titles, and gone through the process of I've done a video on XYZ. How shall I use a title for this? And then it spews out 7 titles. That's really good. Okay, and I said, can you put more of an emphasis on the exploring side or the history side? And it does, and it spews out another 7 titles for me.
I could get it to, that would.
Just so
I could get it to write my speech, my talk at Oxford Uni in a few weeks on drone shots. Actually, I'm going to use that. That's quite good.
well, I'm done with news, Hedley. Any other things to add?
Nothing news-wise, really. I have, again, I haven't really sort of looked before this on stuff that's happened. There's plenty of stuff happening in the world, but as far as Wessex-related topics are concerned, I suppose the whole Dartmoor thing comes under Wessex, doesn't it?
Good point.
So,
yeah, good point. I think we have mentioned on that.
We
before,
did, but there's been
we?
a development since then, because now I think there's some sort of payment that campers can pay to camp on Dartmoor, which again goes against the grain of
wild camping.
Wild camping and open land and everything. But it's a subject that I don't really know enough about to discuss. I'm certainly not prepared to discuss it, but it's something that's rattling a few cages.
Yes, yeah.
Where I personally fall on that is that I think that it would be a shame for people who like wild camping to be denied such a big open area like Dartmoor to camp. Again, I don't like expressing personal views, but I think it's fairly obvious that I think it's done out of some sort of spite.
It certainly feels like it, doesn't it? We do sadly seem to be going further and further backwards with those aspects of our society at the moment, and I'm always aware, without getting political, I'm aware that it's often a roller coaster of one way and then back the other way. And I just hope one day we do step into the realms of the and I know Scotland's a different country and a different landscape, but it would be wonderful if we had a bit more of a common sense attitude to our right to roam. But
because you can wild camp in the Lake District, can't you? Which is a national park. I watched plenty of YouTubers who do.
I
don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But they're okay. So they're being naughty.
I think they're probably being naughty. I'm sure that Dartmoor was the only place left in the country, certainly England, in which you could legally wild camp, and that's again why it was such a.
But then you're not going to send a policeman up to 2,700 feet up at Styhead Tarn.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'd quite happily wild camp there. I'd quite happily welcome there.
I've never done it. I would quite happily, without doubt. In terms of the law, but whether I'd actually, I don't know. I'd need to, have a car a few miles away to make sure that I could go and just, I'm a fair.
You're at the
weather.
creature comforts stage.
Yes,
of life,
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. During the day, you're happy to throw yourself into a ditch and wallow around in muddy old canals, but when it comes to actually sleeping arrangements, you like your queen size bed.
I would wild camp if I could take a mattress, a bedside lamp.
Well, it's funny you should say that. I was on the Ridgeway today, and just beside the Ridgeway, in the middle of nowhere, someone has carefully put a mattress and a sofa. So you can sit there, look at the views, have a lie down, and
that's really.
It'd be nice to have a drinks cabinet, but I thought that was really thoughtful. I think that's that was pretty incredible. So what have you? Well, you've been up to quite a lot actually, haven't you?
The last week I've been messing around a lot in filming a few different videos. I'm now in the lovely position where I've got 4 videos filmed in the bag, which I like being in that position, because then I kind of think, well, do you know what? If I want to take a week off, I can without stressing. This weekend just gone, I did 2 really different things. Saturday, I got an invite from a lovely chap called Steve, who runs a YouTube channel called Court Above the Cut. And Steve goes and joins in with all sorts of volunteer activities with regards to canals. And Steve said, Paul, what are you doing this weekend? Because about 4 different organisations in the Canal Society, Cotswold Canals, Canal Trust, blah, 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 they're doing a dig. And he said, come and have a look at this dig. Oh, that sounds really exciting. So we trundled down to a place called Westfield Lock near Stonehouse in Stroud. Or Stonehouse, close to Stonehouse. And I sort of learnt how they're digging up a canal lock. It was just the most fascinating day ever. Really, really interesting. And we a load of volunteers, all wonderful people that clearing vegetation, and then there was a guy digging, and there was a couple of other guys with the dumper trucks coming and taking stuff away, and there was all this wonderful activity, and all because they have this desire to finish the Stroud Water Navigation. So that the Stroud Water Navigation was a 8.5 mile canal, basically. I think it's called a navigation because it was very, very early in canal mania. Connected to the River Severn, up to well into Stroud, which is a beautiful industrial town full of old mills and fascinating buildings and stories. And eventually that connected onto the Thames and Severn Canal, so you could get to the Thames and Severn via Sapperton Tunnel, the completely mad, bonkers 2 mile plus tunnel with 36 shafts that we stuck the GoPro down. So wow, that was probably a couple of years ago actually. But anyway, that all connected. So the Stroud Water Navigation connected to the Thames and Severn up through Sapperton Canal Tunnel, all the way back down to the North Wilts Canal. Then the North Wilts went into the Wilts and Berks, and the Wilts and Berks went to Abingdon to the Thames. And we got to see how a canal lock was dug up, and it was brilliant. Really enjoyed myself. Yeah, really, really good. So that was Saturday. So we'll have the video out in a couple of weeks for that, because it was quite fascinating. We did a big interview with the guy there who kind of runs it and organises it. And yeah, the volunteers are great, because the volunteers obviously the volunteers obviously enjoy the YouTube channel, so they kept going, oh, it's you. Yeah. And then one guy was going, don't like your videos. I watch them all, but I don't like them. You talk too fast and you waffle too much, but I still watch them. And
why would you watch something you don't like?
I don't know. It was just the funniest thing, and everyone was going, "You what?" This guy was a walk-in comment section, which was entertaining at the least. But then, what did I do Sunday? I thought, do you know what? I need to get back onto the railways. And so I did all this research on where you can go, what I could do, and I decided to do a railway I'd never heard of, called the Badminton Line. And I was thinking, why have I not heard of the Badminton Line? Turns out the Badminton line is just the main route from Swindon to South Wales, but it's called the Badminton line. But I didn't realise this.
Oh, okay.
And it's got this wonderful history to it. And I won't go into the story now, but
isn't that the GWR? Or,
yeah,
sorry.
GW, yeah, basically,
okay.
yeah. So it peels off at Royal and Bassett, where the line splits. The original line went down to Chippenham, Bath, up into Bristol, and then 50, 60 years later, they built the Badminton line, which went straight to South Wales. So it kind of cut out all the original line. The original line was very flat. So the original GWR line, I think it only deviated by like 20 metres from London to Bristol, which is an incredible achievement. Don't want to harp on about Mr. Brunel in the Barking to Brazil too much, but one thing he did do was spend a lot of time surveying for his original railway, and to the point actually that he was going to have that original railway as a railway like a canal, like they used to build them, like the old Peak tramway back in the day. So you'd have a flat line for 30 miles, and then you'd have an incline plane where they pull the steam engine up with a rope, and then you'd have a flat. That was how the original GWR line was designed. But by the time 10 years later, when they went to build it, steam engine technology had moved forward quite a bit, and they could cope with very small gradients. So the GWR line was built, and it only deviated about 20 metres, over its course, which is a heck of an achievement. Anyway, so long story short, 50, 60 years later, they built the Badminton line, which went from Swindon straight across to North Bristol and under the Severn. Quicker route. There's a whole big fascinating story with that and why that happened. But again, that's for the YouTube video. But I basically visited all the disused stations along that line, because a lot of them closed sort of 1960s, sort of early beaching era. And there's still quite a lot to see, despite the fact it's on a main line. I still sort of it was a lovely day, so I got the drone out, and just looked at all these old abandoned stations and told the story of why that line existed, because it's quite a fascinating story. That's been my weekend, basically.
Oh, brilliant!
So that was about it in a nutshell. Canals and railways, obviously.
Canals and railways. We were looking at the old disused Didcot Newbury Southampton Railway, the DSNR, today on our Ridgeway walk. It's that little bit that I love around Churn, and trying to sort of guess where Churn Halt Station was.
People keep asking me about that lately.
Yeah. That's because I keep mentioning it on
maybe
Twitter, and you're the go-to person, so I'm just.
Have you actually been to the station?
No. The problem is, where the bridge crosses the railway bridge, carrying the Ridgeway crosses the railway, there are big signs either side saying private land.
Oh, really?
And so you can't get down to where the railway was. I know I put a picture on Twitter, and a few people were saying how they used to camp underneath the bridge, and but there's a lot of work being done in the area. They're putting a new path in there, so again, it's quite visible if we'd have hopped down there, and But,
that's a shame. We did it 5 years ago. And there were, yes, we trespassed to get there, but it wasn't, there was no signs. It was through a wooded glade along the railway. So it was quite sort of not intrusive and easy to do.
Yeah. So long as E. Fortin Racing don't listen to this, you'll be fine. But no, what I might do is get the drone over there and sort of turn the camera looking down and see if I can.
Well, now's a good time of year to do it, isn't it, if you can?
Yeah, before the leaves and everything come up.
But there's quite a lot still to see. I said quite a lot. It's basically, as the DNSR was, a lot of island platforms. So you can still go to, I think it's Kingsworthy. Which is further south, obviously, just north of Winchester. And it's almost exactly the same as that. So if you imagine it's an island platform and a line either side, and the platform at Churn is still there. I don't know if they called it a halt. They probably did call it a halt, but it was a good sized platform down the middle.
There are bits of it you can walk along. I know down near Highclere, on the Berkshire Hampshire border, I've been told that or was it Berkeley? I can't remember. Anyway, that kind of area that you can walk along the railway for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, we got it here locally because Didcot to Upton has got the raised bit, but everyone's along there. The world and their dogs are all up there, and but somewhere a bit more remote would be quite nice. But that's what I did today. I'd say long walk along the Ridgeway with friends. Hopped up onto Lowbury Hill, seems to be the thing to do nowadays. Just do that every week.
Yeah.
I've had an interesting week up on the Ridgeway. So the video that I was in of yours about the source of the Thames,
Yeah.
I started it with a very silly joke, pretending that my name was Rebecca for some reason. and which was I thought it was quite funny. Laugh at my own joke there, but I was walking along the Ridgeway last week, just walking along by myself, and I passed these people walking the other way. You can probably see where this is going. Past these people walking the other way, morning, and then one went, Rebecca. I'm like, oh god.
So this is out of the blue.
Out of the blue. They saw me because I think on like Twitter and that, people don't, my profile picture on Twitter doesn't show my face because it's hideous, but obviously in your video there's no escaping that. And I was wearing the same clothes as I was in your video, and then I even went to my printer to pick up some exhibition prints that I needed. Yeah. And my printer, I'll give a shout out to him in a minute. His dad was there, and his dad just turned around to me and just instinctively shouted, Rebecca. I'm like, oh god. And I said, are you a Paul Whitewick fan then? Yes. And so my printer's great. He's doing a plug. Yeah, I'm plugging here. Look, exhibition for Oxfordshire Art Weeks, as am I. And he's called Dan. And he's got this. I tell you, you'd love where I get the stuff done. He's got an old ticket office right in Culham in Oxfordshire. So the ticket office there is his printing workshop.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful. It is really, really lovely. Sort of one of those rectangular buildings. And you go inside, and it's all kind of original and everything in there. It's just a wonderful place to go and pick stuff up. So hi Dan. I don't know if he listens to this, probably not. But he's a really good bloke and he's really helpful. So that was today. So yeah, 15 miles, 35,000 steps I think today. Wow. We've been. I went out to Tenerife last week.
Oh yeah, of course you did.
Mum and Dad used to spend half a year out in Tenerife. They got a really nice place, near Los Gigantes, that overlooks the sea. It's on the end of a lava flow, and so you got sea all the way around from the terrace and everything. Yeah. But obviously Dad passed away last year. I don't think Mum really wants to go out at the moment because it reminds her of Dad too much and everything. And I'll be honest with you, it did with me when I got there. But had with family, just 5 or 6 days in Tenerife. Went up Tady and all of that, which is lovely. Did some drone flying. Started filming this windsurfer and sent him the footage and everything. So really nice. Bit of a rush for the plane on the way back. Did a few walks around Wittenham Clumps, which I'll talk about in a few minutes.
Yep.
Let's have a look. So I've got my speech ready for the Oxford University Day School. Didn't use ChatGPT for that. And that's it. Oh yeah, and I went up Whitehorse Hill, Uffington Whitehorse Hill with my mum. Took mum up there. Yeah. And that was really, really nice day. Got some nice shots up there as well. And that was really, I recommend anyone. I've had a couple of people ask me if you're coming down to Oxford or Swindon area, best place to visit. So Oxfordshire, I'd say Uffington, Whitehorse Hill, and Whittenham Clumps. And then if you're around the Swindon area, so it's got to be Uffington, Whitehorse Hill, or probably Barbary Castle. But just a really, really nice sort of lovely evening up there. So that's my last couple of weeks, to be honest with you.
Cool. So we should probably get on to. I've made a lot of notes. Our main subjects, which you're going to do Whittenham Clumps today. Whittenham Clumps.
Yes.
Which I have questions about, but I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about a video that was out a couple of weeks ago, which was the fake Roman road, because I want to kind of go over it again, because
a little curved bit of Roman road.
Because I think so. I don't know if you want to go first or do you want me to go first. What do you reckon is best?
Yeah, you go first. I waffle on too much.
Right. So I kind of want to talk about it again because I don't think anybody's really come up with any comment that I would say, oh yeah, that's what it was. I've still got no definitive answer as to why this is done. There's still a lot of questions that you can't really answer, and as I said in the video, there is only one solution, but it doesn't quite feel right. But Anyway,
So, sorry, bit of background. So this is a bit
Yes.
marked on a map as a Roman road, but it's not a Roman road.
Well, basically, that is it in a nutshell. So I'm now what everybody's looking at on the YouTube is Bing Maps. So I'll try and describe it for the benefit of those on a podcast as well. So Rebecca and I went to the Great Ridge or Great Ridge Woods. Now, if you travel from Salisbury and you head west, almost directly west, maybe west northwest, you follow a Roman road called the Lead Road, and it went from Salisbury up to the Mendips. Now, the first thing that Roman road does is go through two very significant wooded areas. Each of them are about sort of 6 or 7 kilometres long. Groveley Wood, keep going across Groveley Wood, you go across the A303 south of the Wylye Valley, and then you go into the Great Ridge Woods.
Okay.
And now me and Rebecca parked at a place called, and get your map, if you're on the podcast, get your map out and have a look at where I'm going to show you, because it's fascinating. So go along the Wylye Valley, come off the A303 on the A36 and get to Codford St Mary. When you get to Codford St Mary, turn southwest to Sherrington, and you'll go along a little lane continuing southwest until you get to the end of that road, Stockton Down or Sherrington Down, and you can park there basically. And there's a few bits of open access land. Rebecca and I then walked west, southwest, all the way up a place called Longdean Bottom, and right up on top of the ridge there, which is about 220 metres above sea level. So we scaled nearly 100 metres actually from where we parked. Quite a bit.
Yeah.
And on the modern map, there's Roman Road. And you can see it's a Roman Road because it's relatively straight. It's marked with the embankment all the way through the middle. So it's all good. But then one day I was looking at the old maps, and as Hedley just said, and again, I'm now showing a screenshot of that area and those woods. Now, there's no Roman road marked on here at first, because the straight bit of the line has just got as a pathway through the forest. Then you go south by about a couple of 100 metres and you see a very, very wiggly Roman road. But it's clearly not a Roman road, but all the old map makers have marked it as Roman road. There's even an S-bend in this Roman road, literally double backs on itself, and then it goes all through the woods. And again, we're about 100 to 200 metres off of the ridge. And when me and Rebecca got there and had a look at this, it's a small ditch, maybe 0.5 metre to 1 metre deep, with a little bank on one side. And if you know your landscape, you're probably thinking, well, that sounds like Grimm's Ditch. And clearly it is Grimm's Ditch, or one of the many Grimm's ditches or dikes in this part of the country. I think you've got quite a bit up your way, Hedley, as well, haven't you?
Yeah, we have, yeah.
And yeah, so on the map there, I'm looking at the weirdest bit of this now, Hedley. Again, you won't be able to see this, and neither will the podcast viewers, but I'm looking at an S-shaped ditch on a old map.
Yeah, I've got it. It's near a place called Lookout Towers.
Yeah, there's loads of lookout towers. There's and I think there's a lot of hunting that goes on up there.
Just to the east of Sherrington Wood, by the looks of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sherrington, where are you now? Sherrington Wood, just to the east. Yes, correct. Lookout Towers. Yeah. Now that there on an old map is marked as Roman Road, right? And now I can look at about 5 or 6 different old maps, and they all say Roman Road, unequivocally Roman Road. So when you go there and you look at this, you know it's not a Roman road because it's a ditch, it's a hole in the ground. So the first thought is, well, these guys have been mapping the country for 50 years before they published these maps, maybe longer. These were done in the 1880s. And they first started drawing these up 1810. So there is no way in my mind that these map makers, the Ordnance Survey or the Board of Ordnance, would not know what a Roman road looks like. And in fact, if you head on an old map to the east, back to Salisbury, they've got Roman road marked all the way through Groveley Woods. So the other woods to the east of the A303 The Roman road goes right through the middle again. And on the old maps, they've marked that Roman road. So they know what a Roman road looks like. They've even given it the embankment either side, the ditch either side.
That.
They know that as much as anybody. So the question was, well, why did they mark this as Roman road? And then there's one of these old maps where if you follow their Roman road, the extremely bendy, S-shaped, curved, you name it, all of a sudden they start marking it as ditch. So they know it's a ditch. Yet back to the west, they have about a 2-mile section where they're insistent that this is a Roman road, despite the fact it's extremely curved. So it kind of got me thinking, well, there's no way they wouldn't know this is a Roman road, not a Roman road. They would know this is a ditch. Clearly, there's plenty of examples of where they've done this.
Yeah.
So my thought was, hang on a second, have we found something that's deliberate? And that remains my only fathomable solution. That remains my only. I can think of nothing else. They wouldn't have made this mistake. They know what a road.
Yeah.
I can't figure out other than to say that this was deliberate and this was a trap.
So it's not one of these trap street things as well that you were talking about, that it's put on a map to prevent copyright sort of thing from someone else.
So we know that OS do that at the moment. They 100% do that. They deny it at the moment, but they I remember watching Mapman with Nicholas Crane, 2005.
Yeah,
loved it. And he had an interview with OS, and he went to OS with his A to Z of London and said, "Oh, you've got a street here. It doesn't exist." And they said, "Well done. You have found a trap street. It doesn't exist, but we use those to stop people from copying our maps." And they once sued the AA for that reason, because the AA must have copied their maps.
Because you're effectively copying the deliberate mistake. Which proves that they've copied it.
Yeah, you can't sue somebody for copying a fact, but you can sue somebody for copying their own art, or and when you can prove that they've copied this, it's not it isn't a fact. And so I'm not suggesting that this is the case, because I genuinely don't know, and maybe we will never know. I'd love to know if we could know, but my only reasonable conclusion is that they did this on purpose over the years to potentially catch somebody out that may copy their maps. Because to visit that site, you would know that's not a Roman road. 2 miles to the east, back towards Salisbury, they've marked it as ditch, so they know it's ditch, not a Roman road, and they've got the Roman road, and they know what a Roman road looks like. So why would they deliberately do that? And my only conclusion is they did it on purpose. I can't think, and what I really want is somebody to say, no, this is why they did that. So I'm not saying, I'm right, I know it. I don't know it, but that's my only sort of reasonable avenue of coming out at when you ask all the questions. So I would love for somebody else to say, no, this is the reason why they did that, but I can't. So far, no one has come up with that. So
strange.
Yeah, really strange. But it was a great, in terms of those woods. Unfortunately, it's not open access, but you can walk through a lot of it, and it's really beautiful.
I'll tell you what, actually, while you're talking about that Great Ridge, just been looking on the Hidden Wiltshire website.
Oh, yeah.
And
Paul and Glyn.
Paul Timlett has done a walk and a write-up.
Oh, did he?
So if you go to Hidden Wiltshire and then look for the Great Ridge.
Okay. And that's obviously those woods.
Yeah, it looks like a 10-mile hike.
Yeah.
And it basically starts and finishes near Stockton Down. So, but it goes up round Corton and goes through Great Ridge, and it goes right along the course of the Roman road, and it looks like it goes past that sort of curved S-style bend that you're talking about. That's, and he's done quite a big write-up and some nice photography as well. Okay. So definitely worth a look.
Yeah, interestingly, if you are ever in that neck of the woods, it's littered with earthworks. I'm just looking at the LiDAR now. Honestly, every corner you turn, there is a ditch or a bank or a pit or something or an enclosure. There's so much up there to see, and I'm sure if you spent the time looking at archaeological records or whatever of the area, you'd find there's good reason for all those different things to be there. You could probably learn quite a lot. But there's so much there. It's brilliant. Really, really fascinating place.
Put a link to Paul's piece in the, what is it you call the
doobly-doo below. Yeah.
Yeah. Down below. Brilliant.
Yeah, so that's my continued mystery. Why did they do that?
There might be one that you'd never solve, that one. If no one's come up with an answer in response to your video, then I can't think of another mechanism of ChatGPT maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Let's try that.
Yeah.
So that's my waffle really. Not that long today, but we're already 40 minutes into the podcast, so I guess we're doing it.
Crikey, so I better waffle for a bit then.
Your turn to waffle.
I'm a waffler. So one of my favourite places anywhere is Whittenham Clumps. So what Whittenham Clumps are? They're two hills, and they're side by side, and each hill has got a beech clump on top.
Yeah,
they're part of a network of hills going roughly between Didcot and Wallingford, called the Synodon Hills, and they're very popular. They get, I think it's about, their website said it was, I think it's 200,000 visitors a year.
Okay.
So they are probably, alongside Uffington Whitehorse, the most visited part of Oxfordshire, outside of Oxford, of course. So they're in Berkshire until 1974, when a load of people decided it was a great idea to change the boundary over to Oxfordshire. And apologies to the Berkshire yeomanry if anyone listened to this. At the time, it caused a lot of consternation and people up on the hills protesting, but I don't think, whereas you can hold back diggers, you can't really hold back
an invisible line.
That gave them the nickname the Berkshire Bubs locally. Although over time, locals started calling them Mother Dunch's Buttocks, because someone called Mrs. Dunch, who lived in the local manor house. I'm not quite sure how that came about, but they do look, trying to say this with a straight face, like a pair of buttocks, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I'm just bringing up the map now.
Or conversely, if you Google them, a pair of ladies.
Yeah, I mean, if you tilt your head to the side a bit, why not?
Or if you drive like over Brickwell Hill, over the Chilterns, and you suddenly see them, immediately there's some kind of innuendo kind of thing. But anyway, so two hills, they're now owned and managed by, or they're certainly managed by the charity called the Earth Trust, who look after several places around Oxfordshire. I know that, I think it's Neptune Woods, and they own Radley Lakes, I think it is, as well. And they do their best to conserve it, and they're building there's quite a big development in there. They've got a good one of sort of old barns, and they've got like an office there, and various bits and pieces, and it's worth a visit. I think they're going to build a cafe there as well at some stage. And it's now a nature reserve. And you've got little Whittenham Woods over the back. So you've got these two hills that stand there, and then down the back you've got little Whittenham Woods, and there's always stuff going on in there. They're always cutting down trees, planting trees, and they created something called the River of Life alongside the Thames there, where they've got lots of sort of cascading kind of lakes and everything for wildlife. It's really nice. So the two hills, the higher of the two is called Round Hill. It's a staggering 390 feet above sea level,
and that is the one to the west-ish, northwest.
Sort of northwest. And then the other one is Castle Hill, 350 foot, so not quite as high. That's got quite a large Iron Age hill fort on it. From the air, Oh, I'll tell you what, Paul. The evening shots you can get from the drone over Castle Hill are great. You're not actually allowed to fly there. I do some work. I'm sort of kind of a patron of the Earth Trust, and I'm doing an exhibition there and everything. But even I don't fly directly over them because it's a nature reserve, so you're upsetting wildlife, and there's people as well. But there are footpaths nearby you can take off and sort of get relatively close to them or zoom in. And some of the sunsets there and sunrises are really, really nice. And on the top they say these beech clumps, I believe they're the oldest beech plantations in the UK.
Oh, really?
And they're starting to show it because they've been up there. It's quite exposed, obviously, at the top, and so they're kind of planting inside and then outside of them to try and. If you look at really old pictures of Whittenham Clumps, they're kind of these perfect little beech clumps that you get like at Hackburn Hill on the Ridgeway, but they became a bit ragged over time, and so they planted around the outside and. So they're not as perfect as they used to be, but they're being looked after. And with Round Hill, you can actually go into it, and it's quite nice in there. I think that was also a hill fort at one time.
Okay.
And the views from the top, absolutely brilliant. I mean, you've got views across to the Chilterns, the Goring Gap, Berkshire Downs, Lowbury Hill, Uffington in the distance, Boars Hill up near Oxford. Didcot, if you really like going to Didcot. Having said that, when the power station, the old coal-fired power station was there, that was a good view of the power station. It had 680-foot chimney and everything there, and that probably Whittenham Clumps would have been a good place to watch it come down from.
Yeah.
And then the interesting bit really is either side of the clumps, you've got to the north, you've got the River Thames, so we'll come on to that in a sec. And to the south, you've got kind of a third hill, a little bit further away, called Brightwell Barrow. And it's a little clump of trees on top of a perfect looking hill. Really, really nice. Again, very photogenic. And it is private. You can't go up to the clump, but if you're blessed with a camera that has propellers, you can get some pictures up there. But you can get quite close to it. There's a footpath that goes sort of across the fields there.
Yeah.
The views are really nice. And that was also the subject of artist Paul Nash. So there's a website called www.nashclumps.org, and that shows Paul Nash's relationship with the clumps, and it's probably his favourite subject. He was a wartime artist, and he lived up at Boars Hill, and so he had a view of the clumps. But the other side of the clumps, so at the bottom of Round Hill, Round Hill was quite steep to its north-eastern side, and it drops down straight down to the River Thames, and it's probably the most beautiful section of the River Thames that I know of. So you've got Dayslock at the bottom, which incidentally is where Pooh Sticks, I think, comes from. The bridges there. I might be wrong. Someone can correct me on that, but I've been told that's where Pooh Sticks was invented. So go there for a game sometime, Paul.
Little Whittingham Bridge.
Yeah, that's the one. And then you've got Dayslock, and the Thames kind of curves around. It's almost 90 degrees and then runs alongside Whittenham Woods. But to the north of that, you've got the town of Dorchester, not the Dorchester everyone knows about down south.
But still a Roman town.
It is. And they've got an abbey, a big abbey in the town. So you've got a tiny little town with beautiful sort of mixture of beamed cottages and thatched houses. And you've got a ruddy grey abbey in the middle sticking up above everything.
Right.
But between there and Whittenham Clumps, have you got a map up at the moment? Can you see?
Yes, I have, yeah.
So if you can kind of zoom out, so you've got the Clumps towards the bottom and Dorchester towards the top. Let's take a swig of beer. What am I on? I'm on Thirsty Ferry. That's nothing. So you can see the Thames running down sort of roughly north to south on the left.
Yeah.
But you've also got a river running down north to south, very squiggly, that joins the Thames from Dorchester.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the River Tame. So you've got the River Tame on one side to the east. You've got the River Thames on the west. Actually, it's called the River Isis at that point because people in Oxford call it the River Isis. But where the River Tame joins the River Isis, it becomes the Thames. Now, if you look at it in its entirety, you'll see it makes a very big U shape. Yeah. So with Dorchester at the top. So you've got the River Thames like L shape coming down and then across, and then you've got the River Tame. Now, connecting the two just to the south of Dorchester to make almost a square shape, you've got something called the Dyke Hills.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Now, the Dyke Hills are two parallel earthworks that I know Wendy Morrison, Professor Wendy Morrison, was it Dr. Wendy Morrison? I don't know. Anyway, very clever lady who studies hill forts and earthworks.
Yeah.
I met her there, and one of the theories is that that was a waterway between the two, which then turns that whole area into one giant defended island. And within that, you would have had God knows what. I mean, it's huge. So you could be looking there at a massive... I don't want to get people out with their metal detectors here, but you could there have a massive town stroke meeting place stroke fortified area. And of course, it would be a trading. So you might... I was talking to David Miles, and there might even have been like a little port there by the Thames for goods and everything. So a very fascinating area.
So if you filled, well, so what you mean is if you filled that ditch or dike, then basically on that island you just created,
yes,
you've got a very defendable settlement.
Yeah,
I guess,
and a defendable settlement that's got river access.
Yeah.
So it would have been a very premium spot of land. You've got Dorchester nearby, so it's obviously got some history there because, as you say, it's a Roman town. And I think the river itself probably was the dividing line between Wessex and Mercia for some time.
Yeah.
So on our Wessex Ways podcast, I've been waffling on about something that's potentially in Mercia. But yeah, and it's just a lovely area. The whole Whittenham Clumps area is gorgeous. There used to be something called the Poem Tree. Someone carved a poem. Pretty crap poem, I'll be honest with you, but a poem in one of the trees, and unfortunately that rotted away a few years ago. And there's nothing Earth Trust could do to save that. It was a lost cause, that one. But they put a bench up there, and I think they've put a plaque with the poem on as well.
Yeah.
But wow, I mean, to walk around those two hills and then the woods. I mean, if you're in Oxfordshire and you want a relatively short walk, 3 or 4 miles, maybe less, even if you just want to do a mile and do those two little hills, they've got a car park, and it's just a really nice place to go. And for me, it's kind of, alongside Blue Burton Hill, it's my local hill fort. It's just a nice place to go and escape for me. I've got a mad cat coming. Hello. Sorry. It had to happen at some point. I'd thoroughly recommend a trip to Whittenham Clumps.
That's really good.
You had questions about them, did you? Have I answered?
No, I just did. I had no idea what Whittenham Clumps was, and my only experience with somewhere that has clumps is I'll show you on the map as well. Not that you'll be able to see, but I'll show anyone that can see who's watching via the medium of YouTube, is a place just to the west of Amesbury, like immediately west of Amesbury. Where are they? Half Moon. That's them, yeah. What are they called? They're called the Nile Clumps. And on the map, so yeah, basically just before Stonehenge, so halfway between Stonehenge and Amesbury, the Countess roundabout, there's a whole bunch of beech planted clumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's and now basically you imagine let's say a square kilometre. There's probably about 15, 16, 17 different clumps, and they were planted to commemorate the Battle of Trafalgar, and they were planted. They're supposedly in the shape of ships' positions.
Oh wow! Okay.
Again, I don't know how true that was. I made a video about it about 4 or 5 years ago, and I had it in my head. I had it. Maybe these clumps were something symbolic or not, but obviously, only the innuendo that we came up with. That was it. Nothing actually. But yeah.
Maybe we could, and that could be a subject for one of the podcasts, is beech clumps. Why are they there? I think, there's an argument maybe they were some sort of status symbol, and they're not obviously that old because, beech.
Well, you said they're the oldest in the UK, but the Whittenham was. I mean, how old, do you know, is there like a date on them?
Oh, I don't know.
Can someone say?
Yeah, we can put that in the comments.
How old are Whittenham Clumps?
Yeah, I think it says a little bit. If you go to the Earth Trust's website, it's got all about them.
Yeah.
Actually, another resource is thinking about it, is the Lawman podcast. Again, we put something in the doobry below on the YouTube video, but certainly they're really funny. The Lawman podcast. They do sort of ghost stories and mysteries and stuff like that, but they make it really, really funny. They're a real double act. So the Lawman podcast. They got one on Whittenham Clumps, and definitely worth a giggle. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm always looking for new podcasts. I've been binging podcasts the last few days. I've done quite a bit of driving, so always open for more suggestions and ideas.
I think another place, again within Wessex, I'd like to go to that's similar is Colmer's Hill. That looks really good down towards the south coast. It's kind of like a sort of steeper version of Whittenham Clumps minus one of them, if you see what I mean. It's just a hill with a beach clump on top. Looks fascinating. But yeah, definitely good. I'm doing my next exhibition is at Whittenham Clumps at the Earth Trust for Oxfordshire Art Weeks, and I'm going to speak with them and see if maybe they want us to do some guided walks around and maybe sort of some photographic walks and stuff like that, because it's just nice. It's basically a nice place to be. Really, really nice.
Super, sounds good. Right, moving on then to mysteries. I don't know what we did. I think last time we talked about sunken lanes. And I don't think I've got anything specific to follow up on. I was going to go and make a video. I think we then had an ill child, so we didn't go and make that video. But we were going to do some around Dorset. I think. But we haven't got around to doing that yet, so we will do that in the next few weeks, I think. Yeah. Not so much a mystery, although my topic of conversation today was a mystery in itself. So there is that.
Well, exactly. There is that.
YouTube comment from Keith M. Where is my screwdriver? That's a that's a good mystery in itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if anyone knows where Keith's screwdriver is, put a comment below. That's another mystery to.
Yes. I haven't really got anything else. I'm glad I'm probably tempting fate here, but I'm glad we've solved our little mystery of the source of the Thames. This is the first.
Oh God, you know right?
We haven't.
Hold on, stop right, Hedley, because oh my goodness me, you know the biggest problem I've had, because I've been reading comments again because there's a few more comments come in lately.
Yeah.
The biggest problem I had was explaining the absolute essential bit of the video, which is the definition of the source of a river as deemed by, I don't know, Oxford English Dictionary or whoever, is the furthest tributary from the mouth of the river measured along the river, right?
As opposed to the flow volume.
Right, yes. Because there was this chap, and no disrespect to him, but oh my goodness me, I could not explain that to him. And he kept on saying, surely it's about the one that produces the most water. In which case, it's Thames Head. And I said, well, number one, mate, it isn't there now. So there is no water anyway. But even if the Thames Head did produce more water from its spring, we're going by the definition that's laid out by most authoritative bodies. And they say furthest tributary. However much water comes down it. We need to head up the churn, which we did anyway in both videos, regardless.
But so Thames Head, though, when it's flowing, that comes from the canal anyway, doesn't it?
Well, that's the whole other thing. But even if we pretend it doesn't, even if we just say, no, it just comes from there in the ground, then, as you say, even if it produces more water, it doesn't matter because it's not the furthest from the mouth of the River Thames. That is exactly where we went, which is up the churn, turn left, and find it there somewhere. You know, is it National Star College or is it, Cold Bottom or whatever it's called? But I could not, for the life of me, get through to this guy that it's not about the amount of water. Yeah, and he said, "Oh no, why do we want to change history?" And I said, "Well, we don't want to change history, but." He said, when John Leland went there in 1542 or whatever year, if there was more water, we should believe him. I said, that's fine. But what if 500 years before John Leland, there was more water from somewhere else. Well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and this is the other thing. I think the other comment, the other comment that kept coming up is I think people were really fond on, like I am as well, Cally Hill being the real source of the Thames. You know, 'cause it's such a beautiful place.
Yeah.
But someone's saying, well, surely if it's culverted, it's still a river. I'm like, well, okay, fine, but the problem there is that if we don't know that the water's going underground, we can't prove that that's a source of the river if there's no water there at all. You know, if we had some way of X-raying the ground and seeing the water going underneath, we can say, yeah, sure, there's the river. But we can't speculate as to whether or not there's water going under the ground if we can't see it, and therefore that's why we have to discount certain areas.
That was quite a regular comment, wasn't it? And if we'd have bumped into a farmer and he'd have said, oh I culverted this myself just to maintain the flow, and I know the water's here all the time, then that's much more. But there, as you said, there was no evidence.
No,
we have to go by what we could see.
And I flew the drone down the National Star College route of the stream, and sure enough, it's flows all the way down. So, you know, it's difficult to sort of discredit that at the moment. So, Anyway, I think that's probably case closed. Let's say
it is at least for the next couple of weeks.
Until we find someone comes up and says the wind rush is longer or something. Oh, what am I doing? The River Colne, that's it. The River Colne, that's the one. But I'm going to ignore it now. I'm not going to do any more research on that. Yeah, let's ignore it for at least 2 weeks. Case closed. Case closed. Case closed for now. Yeah. Cool. I think that's probably me done for the day. I think that's me. I've enjoyed that. Thanks everybody for listening as ever. However you listen, it's appreciated. Go and have a look at Hedley's Patreon. If I can find the link in the time, we'll put it in. Go and have a look at my YouTube channel, and tell everybody about the podcast if you enjoy it. And if you've got any subjects for us to cover, give us a shout and chuck some ideas our way. Otherwise, me and Hedley will just carry on waffling to our heart's content. And so in the YouTube version of this podcast, we'll put a comment to the Lorman, a link to the Lorman podcast and the Hidden Wiltshire Great Ridge. How do you spell that, Lorman? Loreman, I think. Cool. Okay. But they're really funny. And and we'll put that in the Dewberry thing. Will do. Yeah. Cool. Right. Thank you very much. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. Speak to you next time. Yeah. See you next time.